Welcome, welcome, welcome everyone to your Vibrant Health Secrets. We're here to give you everything that you need to help you with your body, your mind, your soul. And today we have an expert with us on mindset. And this is a man that has helped me enormously. And I'm delighted that he's here with us today, because if ever we need help with our mindset, if ever we need to raise our vibration up in a beautiful way, now is the time. We have so many things going on with EMF radiation bombarding us, with GMO foods that we're not allowed to get labeled in North America, with Ebola starting to run rampant and going out of control. We need to know how to raise our vibration. And this gentleman has helped me do this for years and years and years. I would warmly like to welcome and have you help me in warmly welcoming Harrison Klein. Harrison, thank you so much for being here with us today. Thank you.
It's a great honor and a pleasure to be here, Allison. This is fun. You're fun. I know all the things that we talk about. All the things we talk about are magnificent and wonderful, and that this is a higher vibration. Just getting into a conversation of this type. So very cool. Thank you for having me. Awesome.
Wonderful. Now I'd like to ask you a question.
Yep.
What gives you the right to be here, and why should we listen to you?
Well, I live on this planet along with everybody else. I have a few things to say. I've been through enough in my life so that I can advise other people on how to help this process. I have gone from autism to normalcy to extraordinary in my experiences. So I can't even tell you the distance I have come from the depths of my deepest, darkest places. So I think I have a few things to say about that, and I have helped thousands of people in their process also to extend and expand and enhance themselves into every form of success, from relationship to wealth to health to life, all kinds of, every area of life.
You know, I can only imagine what it must have been like to go through the first 30 years or 36 years of your life with hardly any conversation at all. Just the basic minimum of how much does this cost and so on. And having Asperger's syndrome, which is on the lower side of the whole spectrum of autism, and just feeling this black depression. What must that have been like for you in your life?
What must have happened? What? I didn't hear you.
Okay, what was that like for you to live like that in your life? To live so depressed and in such darkness for so many years?
Well, it certainly wasn't anything that was living. It was an existence, but there was no joy, no love, no connection. It was like being lost in a labyrinth or a tunnel or a maze. I couldn't hear but every third word of what people said. I had very little eye contact, if any, and the experience that I was walking through was like you see in movies when somebody is blind. There's this foggy presence in front of you, and then there's silhouettes of people, which sometimes when they lean forward, you get to see some of the details of their face or whatever, but that's pretty much what it was like. No auditory, very little visual. I did have, sensitive body, but it was mostly numb and pain, so it was not a good place to be.
Wow. And at that time, you were also what could be described as obese. So you were carrying a lot of pain in your body as well, in your cells of your body, in your fat cells. You were storing and wrapping yourself up with all this pain. And then you had this experience of the light. And so can you describe what was that like when that happened to you?
Oh, dramatic and amazing. I was about 22 or 28 years old, I think. It's in the 70s, early 70s. And I was sitting in an overstuffed chair in Cleveland, Ohio. I was actually, doing a little sketch of my apartment on a drawing board and some paper. And without warning, I simply got yanked out of my body, sent into this vortex of white light spinning through the universe. I was moving faster than the speed of light because all these things were coming at me, colors were coming at me, patterns were coming at me. I could hear choirs of angels singing. I was watching suns and planets collapse and birth and expand, and galaxies spinning. I had a perspective so that I could even see multiple galaxies spinning. And I was moving at this unbelievable velocity, and I was experiencing it all with with clarity and amazing kind of perception that was allowing me to even see the details of all those things, even at that kind of a speed. It was beyond comprehension. I can't even explain it. So it was a dramatic experience. And when I was deposited back in my body, maybe 2 minutes to 2 hours later, I have no idea what the length of time was, but as I was deposited back in my body, I came in with a thud, just like a, kind of a noise. And at that particular moment, when I was deposited back in my body, my entire demeanor had changed. I wasn't the same man that I had been the 28 years prior to that. I suddenly had enhanced senses. My visual capacity was amazing. I was actually watching energy. I was seeing colors pulsate in different rhythms. I saw the different vibration, and everything was vivid and fresh and brand new. I saw, the difference in the vibrations of the color orange and gray and purple as the way that my apartment was decorated at the time. The total different vibrations. I was watching the energy spin. I picked up a conversation that was 30 yards away, word for word, which I couldn't even hear the day before, or even an hour before that experience. Next to me, I wouldn't have been able to hear anything. It was totally clear. I was in total amazement. My body was amazing because I could feel and hear every little gurgle and thing that was going on inside of all of my systems. I actually watched a thought form at the base of my spine, run up the back of my neck, run up my spine into the back of my neck, travel through my medulla oblongata into the frontal cortex, and explode in front of me as a thought and as an image. And I was watching that process. I was also aware of the space in between, and there was absolutely no separation between myself and everything else. It was simply a matter of me being at this vast expanse of both space and connection of all things, and I was aware that what I was looking at was totally me, even though it was the outer environment. And the first thing that happened to me was that a voice said to me, "Tell no one of this experience." And that was sort of my awakening. Many years later, I was able to talk about it, but just sort of.
How did you know when you were able to talk about it?
I was given instruction that I could, it's okay to talk about it. You can teach from this point on. So that was the instruction I was given. You can teach and use your story. So not in those words, but that's the instruction. That was okay.
And you know what you did? You went from being autistic on the autistic spectrum to successfully owning and running 9 different companies. So you really did step out and take on the mantle of responsibility, and to be able to take coherent action and so on, which I take my hat off to you for doing that, for having the bravery to step into this new reality. How long did those heightened senses last?
You're still here. They're just there. But it took a while to get used to them, because at the beginning it was quite scary. It was the unknown. And of course, the unknown is an exploration. So it was no different it was just, like having been in a cave for 30 years and coming into the sun for the first time. You really don't know. You're sort of blinded by everything, and so you're discombobulated, a little bit confused, and you don't know what it is, because there's no way that you could recognize anything, since the unknown cannot be grasped with the known. So otherwise, it would be the known. So it is a place of the unnameable, the unimaginable, the you know immeasurable, if you will. And there's just a place that is it's an awakened series of dramatic experience. So and continuous, ongoing moments by moment of that in a way that is eternal and infinite in its most amazing kind of capacity in the biggest, broadest sense of that word. So.
And when you're saying, well, I was told that I could start teaching and that I could start sharing my experiences and so on. I've heard so many people saying to me that when you're teaching and they're listening to you, when you're speaking, you just download. You're acting as a conduit, and all these words are just pouring out of you, and it's just as if you are an instrument, and you're just being used to flow this information through you. Is that the experience that you have when you're doing this?
Yes, it's like the wind going through trees. That's what it feels like. It's like the wind coming through a tree, coming through the leaves of a tree. There's no other way that I could describe that.
Yeah, I remember the very first time that I heard you, and I can't remember, it was on some telesummit or something, and I heard you speaking, and it resonated with me so deeply. I couldn't believe it. So I immediately went and purchased whatever it was, whatever course it was that you had available. I grabbed it and I started listening to it. And I listened to it. I have visual pictures. I can even see where I was, what I was doing, everything that I was doing as I was hearing all of this. And it was coming into me. It was so beautiful. And one of the things that you said was, you are protected when you're on this path.
Yes.
And I never forgot that feeling of just being held and surrounded, just being wrapped in this envelope of wonderful love. Protective love is the feeling that I have for it. And it resonated with me so deeply. And I loved your work so much that what I did was I transcribed it. Because when you get going, you just go so fast and so on, that this person I wanted to share the information with couldn't understand what you were saying. So I typed out every little word of that course, and it cemented it deeper into me. So I see the need for this. Do you see the exponentially growing need as we have more fear coming at us and more of this, all of the news and everything that's coming at us? Do you see that there's a greater need for this now, Harrison, than ever?
Well, we are living in a state of transition on the planet right now, something that hasn't happened here for thousands and thousands of years. We are moving in an evolutionary spiral that is different than has taken place for dramatic amounts of eons on the planet. We were at one time Cro-Magnon, we became Neanderthal, then we went to Homo sapien, and now we're in a place that is different than that. We're in a place that's different than that. And we are coming to what is our luminosity, if you will. And that luminosity is a place of our expanded right brain, our expanded experience of sensory enhancement, our expanded experience of connection, direct connection with Source and the cosmos as a co-creator, friend, and us simultaneously. So, the way that we are taught is that, this wind passes through us with, information. We get a chance to see, feel, experience, and that see, feel, experience actually comes into the articulation through you. Sometimes you don't even know what you're saying. It just sort of happens, and it is a direct communication of Source through you. And what it feels like is just a massive wind coming through you from the back of your head to the back of your back, right through your body, all the way through until it's out. And afterwards, you sort of are amazed at what was said and what was done. So that's what it feels like. But the entire planet is going through this massive transition right now, and everybody, or at least people, are awakening all over the place. I see it every single day. I see it in my students. I see it in other people's students. I see it when I walk down the street. I see it when when I'm in when I'm in a store or a restaurant, I mean, people become hyper alert. And in that transition, you get into this space of hyper alertness. And in this hyper alertness, you notice everything from the 360 degrees around you. So, I mean, you can be thinking about being wealthy, and you will notice that the poor people in the room will automatically turn their eyes toward you, give you respect. You can be walking through a doorway, and people will go out of their way to stand and open the door for you. They don't know you. They don't have any connection with you. It's just the way that things are, because order attracts lesser order. Lesser order wants greater order, and so, they become attractive to you, and they become attracted to you, and it becomes a dramatic experience for everyone, both sides. And like flowers follow the sun across the sky, lesser order follows order across their lives. So that's part of how it works. So as we become hyper aware, as we become much more, in tune with what is our environment and what is us simultaneously, that order becomes a environmental connection to everybody and everything that you experience. And there's just one of us anyway. We're just in here. There's no out there. Even together with all of your audience, all of you, all of me, everybody that I know, and everything. It's just one experience. So very interesting. And nobody would be here if it wasn't right for them. So that's what we're attracted into.
It's beautiful too, the way you speak about the I am principle and the power of that shortest sentence in the English language. I am.
Correct.
You do so much with that, but you're also you've created a special course for us on mindset and the power of the mindset. Do you want to extrapolate a little bit more on how that mindset ties into everything that we're experiencing, how we are the creators of our own experience, and how love ties into that?
There are multiple facets to that question, Allison. But yes, we'll start with the I am, and then we'll go into what that actual mindset process is. Okay. So the words I am are the two most powerful words in the universe. Basically, they are the invocation of the God energy. When Moses was at the burning bush on Mount Sinai, and he spoke to God, and he asked God, who shall I say sent him? What is the identity of this God that I am now in the presence of? God said, I am that I am. He put those words into the physical plane. So what that is the energy of creator in the physical plane. So what that does is that situation, that I am, becomes a signal to the universe for completion. So when you say I am something, whatever it is, depressed, happy, a great manifester, a great ball player, terrific husband, great lover, whatever it is. When you use the words I am, you are invoking the God energy in order to create a completion on that experience. So whenever most of us walk around on our daily lives, basically the things that we say to ourselves are far from enhancing ourselves. And our inner dialogue is about being depressed, being angry, being poor, being having less than what we want, so on and so forth. And so that is what we create simply by the words I am. And every single experience we have comes from the I am. We cannot have an experience that has not been preconceived and pre-expressed without an I am. So somewhere an I am creates a picture inside of ourselves that then becomes the instructions to creator or to the universe, to ourselves. We are children of all that, and to ourselves that takes that out to completion. So when you say I am wealthy, you immediately have a picture of yourself as wealthy, in yourself. And when you hold that image, when you just simply hold the image of that, by the law of correspondence, the way that the universe is structured and made up, and the law of correspondence, it must come to fruition as long as you don't contradict it. So the idea is it's a state of being, and from a state of being, anything can happen. There is no difficulty in manifesting from a state of being. There's only difficulty when you try to manifest from effect. In a state of being, you are cause, and cause creates, whatever the effect is you set by cause has to come to happen, automatically. So when you set a cause in motion, the effect is automatic. So the process is that you have this I am, and you have this expression of that I am according to your desire, and that then becomes the state of mind, because it's an identity. And as you identify, that you get the vibration, the God vibration, with your vibration mixed in order for that to happen. So understand that mindset is really a state of being. Mindset is the aggregate of all of our emotions, all of our connections, all of our physicality, and all of our intellect. So our mindset is what we use. It becomes a paradigm for us to experience life. And without mindset, nothing can happen. Without the I am, nothing can happen. As human beings, we only do one thing, and that is to create experience. So what we create comes from an I am. We cannot have anything that we can't have anything that we aren't already in this universe. So we can't have wealth, we can't have love, we can't have joy, we can't have cars or items or whatever without having first some identification with that which comes from an I am. So in this world, we get what we are and not what we want. So if we can't identify the I am with us, and that is merge that image with that I am thought, then we can't experience manifestation. So we either get a distortion or nothing. So and the prerequisite for all that is to understand the state of mind, and that the I am can and does create whatever it is that level of well-being is inside of you. So it creates that frequency. It works in a particular way. There's a sequence to it, and then there's a sort of a mindset recipe to that. So the sequence is to be, which is I am, and being is always, has been, always will be, and you cannot do anything with a state of mind except be it. You can't get happiness. You can't go after happiness. You can only be happy, which is a decision. So the same thing happens with wealth or anything else. You have to be wealthy internally before you can experience wealth externally. So the first part of any of this process is to be something, to identify yourself as something. I am wealthy, or I am happy, or I am whatever. So you identify yourself through the I am, and from the I am, then that sponsors, in other words, the decision to be something, then sponsors the thoughts of that something. So when you say I am wealthy, then you're going to start to have the thoughts of wealth. You're going to have to have pictures of wealth, of you in that situation, and the thoughts of wealth. What's cool to have, what's cool to do, what's cool to be, or whatever the case may be. Same thing happens when you're depressed. You say I am depressed, you're going to see yourself, or you're going to experience yourself body-wise, full body-wise, with your shoulders slumped, with your body feeling heavy, with time going slowly, with difficulty in your communications. Then once the thoughts are sponsored by your I am, the next thing happens is that if you hold that thought, it must by law then start to fall into your expression, into your verbality. And from the verbality now, it starts to manifest into the physical world. So now you are talking about it. You brought that into conversation. So whatever you are in the I am starts to, and the thoughts of that start to enter your conversation. From the conversation, physical vibrations are extended out for the purpose of attracting back to you what you have created and caused. So those three things, being, thinking, and speaking, are cause. Then there's a bridge between that and receiving, which is the effect. So the bridge is action. So once you have put it into verbality, now you are compelled to act on what you talk about sooner or later. You have no choice. That's part of the subconscious experience. So you are compelled to act on what you have put into verbal discussion, and sooner or later. And then as you do that, and whatever actions you take, whatever physical actions you take, now you must receive what you have set up and caused. So if you say I am depressed, and you start talking depressive, you get depressive thoughts, and you start talking in depressive language, you start acting depressed, your shoulders drop, your body feels heavy, you don't want to talk to anybody, you want to withdraw, that's what you will experience. You will receive the entire state of being depressed. You can do all kinds of things that are in between that, and but the bottom line is that the same thing happens when you're happy, when you're wealthy, when so on. So you receive the thoughts of wealth. You receive the images of wealth. You start to receive the language of wealth. They start to come through you. Then from the language of wealth, you start to act on being wealthy. You start to act on being wealthy, and then by acting like you're wealthy, or acting that acting in the ways that wealthy people do, whether it be the body language or the discussions of things that they like, or the discussion of wealthy things, then that starts to be attracted to you into your physical experience. So I don't know if that's explaining that portion of the mindset. It's kind of a long answer for.
There's something going on now, and that is that children are having their imagination drilled out of them. So there's a large part of the population that doesn't know how to imagine. And what you're talking about, if I get you right, you're saying that the I am statement is a state of being. And so what you need to do before you take action, you need to put yourself in that place, in that feeling place. You need to set the intention. Okay, for example, if we are talking about wealth, I am wealthy, and you put yourself in that feeling and you imagine yourself on these beautiful yachts and wonderful beaches and surrounded by beautiful people with lovely clothes, or whatever your image of wealth is,
yeah,
before you do your action.
Right.
And so you have to have your imagination to be able to get into that feeling place, to set that intention, to get your mindset in that right place. How do you do that?
The I am is the field. So, that's the quantum field, and the moment you use an I am, it's nothing but a decision. So you have to decide internally to want to experience something, or or at least that you're curious about something. But it's a declaration. It's a declaration to the universe, and that activates your imagination. So it's the I am is also the activation of your imagination. Without that, you can't imagine something. You want to see something, you say, I am looking, or I want to discover this. The I is the activation of the imagination, the word I. So, and then the M is the activation of the vibration of that. So, so the imagination that is being drilled out of children, for example, is really, where we label them as opposed to their being able to identify themselves with something. So when you are proactive and healthy, you identify with great things, good things, loving things, wonderful things, experiences that enhance you. When you are experiencing authority or suppression of yourself, you are submitting your I am to another. You're submitting your power to another, and so that then becomes a negative experience, and your I am starts to diminish by that as well. If you can't love yourself, you get anything you don't empower. Put it this way: anything you don't empower gets overpowered, and the way to empower yourself is I am, and whatever things you want with that. So
what do you do in a situation where you're, for example, afraid? Okay, I'm going to take the example of electromagnetic radiation because that's something I've been working with a lot lately. So there's a lot of people that are writing to me. Thousands of people are writing to me, and they're afraid. They're feeling sick. They're getting migraine headaches. They can't live in their home. They're feeling really ill from the effects. They're getting allergic effects to electromagnetic radiation. What would be their I am statement? Could they say, I am not afraid? And I am not. That doesn't.
I am protected. I am protected. I am aware, and this does not affect me. Okay. It doesn't have to affect you if you don't let it in. You only get affected by default. You only get affected when you're not empowering yourself. You go into default. In other words, you then pick up the wave of the collective consciousness as opposed to your individual consciousness. We live in a storm and in a process of electrical waves and magnetic waves that are swirling around us all the time, and they are carrying thoughts of the collective. So if the collective is afraid, you pick up on that. If you don't have a thought that overrides what the collective does, then you are destined to experience what the collective experiences. And the collective experiences what the media tells them, what fashion tells them, what authorities tell them, what parents tell them, whatever anybody determines about you is what you will experience from the collective, or your your kind of environment or people or whatever the case may be. But you can override that by simply saying, I am stronger than that. I'm stronger. This is not going to affect me, and it will happen. As we move up the awareness ladder, and as we use our I ams to move up the awareness ladder, what happens is that we come into a dimension beyond the fourth. We live in the fourth dimension, most of us, or the third dimension being height, width, and depth, the fourth dimension being time. As we start to transcend time, we are collapsed into the here and now. When we're collapsed into the here and now, we are source. So the source experience in the fifth dimension and above, you are basically free. There is no influence that has any bearing that can hurt you in any way. There's nothing out there. There's only you. So anything you don't like, you simply change in an instant. If I don't like the quality of this conversation, I change it in an instant. Otherwise, I just let it be and go along for the ride and enjoy it. But in the fifth dimension, basically, you can't even get to the fifth dimension until you're happy, until you're I am happy in a place. And then, from above that, there's just there are countless dimensions that rise and that you can experience interdimensionally with other beings, with travel. In the quantum field, there is no space between things. So in other words, if you wanted to be on Jupiter, or you wanted to experience Jupiter, you wouldn't have to take the ride between here and Jupiter to get there. You would simply be there by your intention. So you would experience it through a light body. You wouldn't experience it through this body, but you would experience it like all psychics are able to be clairvoyant or precognitive, and see the future, see the past lives, all these things. So all that comes originally by moving through the dimensions into the place of your I am beyond the fourth dimension. And in that place, there is no cause and effect. The laws begin to be experienced very differently. Everything is simultaneous, So, this may sound a little woo-woo, but you're every dinosaur that ever was on this planet. You're every Big Bang that ever happened, and you're every, future that will ever be. So, and you can access that. So,
I agree with you, and I know that what you are talking about is real. But I'm also keeping wanting to hold the balloon down and anchor it a little bit more for people that
okay.
that are writing to me, because they're at different levels of consciousness. They're at different states of awareness and so on. So if somebody's been told all their life, I'm stupid, or you're stupid, shut up, I don't want to hear from you, you're stupid, and they get this drilled into them, and then they start with this I am statement, and they say, I am smart, I am intelligent, I am a great communicator, I am successful, I am intelligent. But there's a huge part of them, over 2/3 of them, that's going, that's not true, that's a lie, that's not true, that's a lie. How do they deal with that?
Well, they have to have a strategy to deal with that, and the strategy is when you see a limiting thought, limiting belief, you let it go through you. You don't engage it, so that you don't put energy into it. And as you stay with the I am smart, I am a great communicator, etc., the new reality will start to dissolve the old reality. There's a lot of grounding techniques. Grounding simply is putting whatever it is that you are I aming into the physical plane. So you can physicalize that with your body. You know how like when you listen to music and you want to dance, the music isn't just in your head, it's all over your body. Have you ever felt that?
Yes, very often.
Yeah, all the time. So do I. So when it's all over your body, you have complete control over it, because your body must, obey your commands for your body. So when you are, wanting to be smart, you want to be smart with your whole body. You don't want to just be smart with your head. You don't want to be smart just with one thing. So if you can feel into the I am, then you ground that into the physical plane. Are you following me? Are you following this? You're grinding that into the physical plane. So you feel into things with your whole body the same way that you do music. When you're in a conversation, you are leaned forward so that you feel the entire conversation. It's not just in your head. You're aware of everything that's there at the same moment. So this is a way to physicalize something. So in the fifth dimension and above, you're totally protected. You know, nothing can in any way, shape affect you that you don't choose to affect you, and you are cognizant of that at every moment. And you're cognizant of that at every moment. Sorry, I got to look into the camera. Okay, so this is any way that you can physicalize anything. So if you want to have a soulmate, for example, you know, you want to start physicalizing that. I am in love. I am with my soulmate, et cetera, et cetera. He's not there at the moment, but you start to go out and you start to, you know, set the table for two. You start to go places that you would go with a soulmate. You know, so the things that you might do. You start to, you know, talk to that soulmate out loud, verbally. You know, pretty soon that's going to attract into your life pretty dramatically and quickly. So as you physicalize, when you use your whole body, your entire being is congruent. And so that is what the universe uses to vibrationally to bring back the echo of that into physical form. Is that helping?
Yes, it is. Can you share a quick grounding exercise that people can use right away when they've got this cognitive dissonance? If for example, and now I'm going to get into like the really dark side of things because that's part of where I've been treading lately. But let's say that somebody feels that they're under a mind control and that the government or CIA or whoever is doing mind control on them. They may even feel that they have an implant in their jaw or in their inner ear or something that's allowing them to have transmission of electromagnetic radiation transmitted to them and change their thoughts. Is there something they can do? Is there a grounding exercise they can do and an I am statement that they can say that is going to protect them from these type of experiences?
I am free to be as I please without interference. And you puff up your chest. Believe this or not, you just puff up your chest. Take the deep breathe for a little bit. You know, take the imagination of hooks being all over you, just as if there were hooks all over you. And then, as a Superman would, just pop them so they pop out of your body. You just pop out of your body. And then you cut the cord with your hand. Okay, you cut your cord with your hand, and you know, feel free. And then you get up and you walk around and say, "How does this feel?" You know, and if you feel a sense of relief, you have done it. If you haven't, and if you feel a sense of elation, you have achieved it. So you're free of it. If you don't feel a sense of elation, then you haven't quite gotten them all out, and just do it again until you do it. Simple as that. Okay.
Excellent.
So take the hooks off of your head, take the hooks off of your body. You know, puff up your chest, be that Superman, and pop all that stuff right off your body. Boom. You can do it with your, you know, just the power that you have. Now, we are taught that we don't have power. We have all this imaginative power, and the imagination comprises 99% of who we are. The physical only comprises 1%. So use part of the 99% to get what you want. You know, there's no sense in leaving it out there to the 1%.
Okay, how does love fit into this? Because you talk a lot about love, and you give a lot of love. When people are listening to you, people are in your presence and everything, it's just like they're being washed, bathed with love. So what is love? How are you using that, and how does it fit in?
Love is the all of everything. Love is the first primal pathway of everything. Love is the entire universe. So love is God. God is love. And as you become more aware, you have more love to give because there's more energy. Energy and love and God are the same thing, and awareness are the same thing. So really, there's an equal sign between all of it. And love is just, you know, your goodwill toward your own self, which then translates to your goodwill to all other beings and all other things. So how we understand ourselves is in relationship. So as we feel better, we are more loving. So the better we feel, the more love we are able to give. So and to create the prerequisite of creating something good and freedom from freedom from tyranny, freedom from oppression, freedom from interdimensional beings, freedom from secret conspiracies, etc., is just a matter of just loving who you are, falling in love with who you are, and knowing that when your experience emotionally dips, you can recalibrate that to a steady state. The happiness and the love is a steady state of well-being continuously with no preferences, with just the beauty of appreciation on all levels. So as you embrace that idea, as you embrace that experience, there's nothing but joy and continuous bliss and tremendous feeling of power and vastness. So does that help at all?
That totally helps. I love it. I'm kind of like a bliss addict. And when I don't feel joy, I don't feel bliss, it's kind of like, I want it back right away. I like to mainline bliss. And
Sure.
I know that where there's love, there is no fear.
That's right.
And
Fear is a negative, is an anticipation of not being loved. It's some form of anticipation, whether it's be harm or humiliation or difficulty or whatever. It's a false evidence appearing real acronym, but it's just the anticipation that you can't handle what is about to happen. And it's anticipation. So know that you created it, so you can uncreate it at the very moment that you created it. So if you understand that, then just walk through it. It can't hurt you if you don't allow it to hurt you. So then you can change any reality that you've created instantly by your will and by your I am and by your strength. By the fact that you know that it can't hurt you, that there is fear is nothing but a warning that says be careful of this. It doesn't mean analyze. It doesn't mean that you should freeze up. It doesn't mean that any of those things. It doesn't have any power that you don't give it. So the moment you say you're not giving it any power, that I will be happy, I will be okay, I will be fine, regardless of this fear, you have already overcome it the very moment that you think that thought. So, and if you get a sense of relief, if you can walk through the fear, you can do the first 30 seconds of whatever that fear is telling you to do, and you go through it, you see you're okay, your body will relax and the fear will leave you. Your body will simply just exhale and unleash the toxics or release the toxics of that process.
It's interesting because if anyone doesn't believe this,
just try it. You don't have to believe me. Try it. Walk around for a couple of days saying, I am free of all negatives. See what happens. See if you don't feel a hell of a lot better. See if you don't feel better when you say, I am magnificent. I am a genius. I am a genius and I apply it every single day. See if you don't feel better when you walk around and say, I am happy and I am so in love with the world. You can't even deny it. The moment that you're depressed and you say those words, you'll feel better instantaneously. Okay? So, and just notice the difference between when you say I am depressed or I am broke. See, that feels heavy. Can you feel that when you say I am depressed? I am broke. You can feel the heaviness of that, right? Now, if you are rigid, if you are feeling heavy, if you are feeling down, you're not in the right space for you. Your greatness comes from feeling good. The greatness of anyone comes from feeling good. So the advice I give is to reach for feeling good things all the time. And the best way to do that is I am feeling good, or I am happy, or I am joyful, or I am successful, or whatever. As you feel better, you experience better. It's simple as that. It's not a complicated universe. It's complicated techniques, but not complicated universe. The universe responds to whatever it is that you are putting out there.
There's going to be a lot of people that are going to be listening to this. It's available for 72 hours, and then it's going to be available as part of the best of the best.
Why not 72 years?
It will be, believe me, because lots of people, what they do is they get the whole bundle of calls so they can keep listening to it and listening to it. And the thing is that I'm going to tell people where they can find out about the offer that you created for us, because, I absolutely love you. You know this. I adore the work that you do. You've changed my life considerably and added to my joy factor a great deal. And I want people to be able to find out about this because you've created something for your Vibrant Health Secrets listening audience that's like a $1,500 package for $127, which is just, to me, unbelievable. And I keep learning so much from you, more and more and more. It's like I kind of need to have my battery recharged or something. Every once in a while I can get pulled off track, off my balance and so on. And I use a lot of techniques to balance myself, and your work is definitely one of them. So people can go to find out about you at yourvibranthealthsecrets.com/Klein, Klein. So that's HTTP or www.yourvibranthealthsecrets.com/Klein. So, I'd like for you to describe a little bit about the mindset secrets revealed and what that means to people, what people are going to learn from that.
Well, as we started to say at the beginning of this interview, that your mindset is really the aggregate of all the things that all of your experiences, all of your life experiences, all of your emotional experiences, all of your physical and your imaginative experience. So your mindsets really are a state of being. They are an I am place. So from the mindset, all other things emerge. Mindset is your cause for experiencing any effect you may want. So there are actually like 9 different modules. There are 9 different modules in this process. The mindset secrets that I've created start with the I am, the level of being, understanding what a state is, how to experience that state, what you want to do with the state, and understanding the dynamics and the technology of it in very, very concrete terms. I had a student by the name of Sabin, who was on the verge of his marriage collapsing. He was broke. He couldn't put his kid through even elementary school, private school in New York, and he was blown away. He was on the verge of collapse. He's a sculptor, and he lost his studio. We trained him in mindset in about 6 weeks. 6 weeks he was back. His marriage was back. His life was back. Within 9 weeks afterwards, he manifested $250,000. He got a full downtown Manhattan gallery given to him for free. Okay, all this comes from the mindset. He got a full $250,000, and then he became famous. He's now in magazines and TV shows and radio shows all across the world. Elton John is looking at his work. He's hung out with Arnold Schwarzenegger. This was a guy who was on the verge of total collapse. That's just one mindset little thing. That is from the I Ams. We then move, and the second module in the mindset secrets is about the images and thoughts of the mind. And we use those images, or the universe uses those images that we deliberately put in as instructions to create our lives. So I had a woman, for example, who was on her hospital bed, and her legs were about to be amputated, or one of her legs was about to be amputated. She called me. She'd heard me on a radio program. She called me. She was desperate. She said, day after tomorrow, they're going to take off my left leg. I mean, please, please, please help me. So, normally I don't take those kinds of cases, but I did. She was compelling enough, and we spent some time with her. She had been in this hospital bed 2 years, not able to even sit up because the medication she was taking had destroyed the tendons in the lower part of her body. So the first thing that we did was we took the fear out of all this amputation. We said we don't have to accept the diagnoses or the conclusions of the doctors. We can overcome that. Can you believe that? And as we started to take the fear out of that situation, about 3 weeks later, less than 3 weeks later, she was sitting up. The doctor said that was a miracle. Can you imagine sitting up with no tendons in the bottom part of your body? She sat up. After that, they said she would never walk again. 3 weeks later, she was out there. She was walking. She was not as good as you and I, but she was in a walker. But she was walking. She had not been able to even sit up on her own for 2 years. So, that's just the instructions that we give our mind. We start to create out of the quantum field using the images and thoughts of our mind. Then we have a third module is about ultimate experiences, and we had, for example, a woman by the name of Pam who had been estranged from her family. She lost an inheritance, and of a farm, and her entire family had to sort of be put out of this area, and we started to work with her on recapturing her inheritance. Less than 5 weeks later, she actually got that land back. Somehow there was magically manifested a mistake in the technology, and it was given back to her. The land was given back to her, and she siphoned off part of the land and created $7 million or something of that nature. We talk about in the fifth module or the fourth module, I guess, we talk about goals. We talk about a revolutionary way to set goals. I was in the company, I have been in the company of about 15 billionaires in my life. Dinner and conversations, and even made good friends with a couple of them. What I found out was that two of those billionaires did not know the other ones. They knew of them, but they didn't know them personally. All of them knew of each other, but only two knew each other personally. So I began to interview them, and I said, there's only 1,500 billionaires on the planet, and they control 97% of the wealth. I said, what makes you so different that you can control that amount of money? And they said, it's the way we set goals, and it's the way we do things. And I said, well, can you teach me that? And I said, yes. And they said, yes, I can teach you that. What they did was radically different than the way everybody teaches goals. And so I interviewed all 15, and to my astonishment, every single one of them had approximately the exact same way to set their goals. Now, I'm not saying that you're going to become a billionaire if you do that way, but you will certainly enhance a lot of your financial abilities through that process. So we talk about also in the sixth module, we talk about the principles that are involved in here. There is the universal principle of cause and effect. There's the universal principle of certainty. Now, if you don't know how to use cause and effect efficiently, then you're always going to be at the mercy of the effect. The effect will affect you. But if you can be the cause, then you can shift all the energy to what you desire as opposed to what is happening outside of you, to that energy swirling around. Now you are the controller of the energy. So we have had people working with, in the principles area, we have had people go from, everything from broke to wealthy, from sick to healthy, from no relationships to relationships, attracting their soulmates. We've had all kinds of different, wonderful experiences, anything you can imagine in that process. Then I have 4 sections, I believe, in this Mindset Secrets package of discussions or kind of dissertations I gave to my $10,000 a year mentorship people. So I have 4 different sections of where I just talk about the things that I taught them for wealth creation, manifesting, going from energy into abundance. So I have 4 different sections in that. I also have given in that one a personal mind map template. So if you are in a business, how to create a business, what to do with that business, how to create a team, what it is that you need to do, what the roles are, what the entire circle of all that looks like, from who does what in your business, and then how do you give them tasks, and who's responsible for what, and then how do you create a timeline that brings money and funds and profit into your life. And that's another thing in there. So the whole thing, it's basically priceless. You can't even buy some of this stuff really. There's I think the stuff that I did in the mentorship program alone is worth many, many times that. But we gave it a value that was reasonable, and 127. I have an evening going out to see Lion King in a play. It's going to cost me more than that for 1 ticket. So isn't it worth it to change your life for for just a package like this? There's probably about 20 hours worth of teaching in that, and it gives you the tools and the principles and the ideas, both physical and mental, plus a number of exercises that will help you, integrate and internalize these experiences, so that you have that in the physical plane. It's not woo-woo. It's not just theory. There's a lot of theory in there, but there's also a lot of application to the theory. So it's a wonderful package. We all have this experience of not being able to reach something, but there's no accidents. So once we have the tools, it becomes a hell of a lot easier to reach whatever it is we want to reach and to adjust it in the way we want to adjust it. So
yeah, it's amazing, because once you give the blueprint, once you give it to us, then all we have to do is follow it, and it works. It works every time, 100% of the time, if we follow it.
Yes, a principle works each time, all the time, everywhere. So, that's what principle is. It just works.
Yeah, so for anyone listening to this on the audio version, when you get the audio version, okay, it's www.yourvibranthealthsecrets/Klein, Klein, okay? So that's how you can get this. And, Harrison, the thing is about the work that you do, it never dies. It never dies. It never goes out of fashion. It's there all the time. The principles are principles. They're universal principles. They're forever. The cause and effect. It's the cause and effect. It's like following the laws of the universe. It doesn't change. The intention, the I am principle, the mindset. All of these are all wrapped together in something that is logical, and it's spiritual, and it's opening a part of us that we really need to have opened. And I agree with you. We're in a new transition. We're in a new phase that's speeding up. There's a vortex happening. It's happening different than it's ever happened before. And you're feeling the need. You're feeling the need. You keep putting together these things. And, I know a lot of people can't afford to give you $10,000 to join one of your groups to get this coaching. And yet you've made that very same coaching available to people, and it's just like we can be a sponge and just suck it up. So I want to thank you. I want to thank you so incredibly very much. Every time I get to spend time with you, I get like goosebumps. I feel great, and I really appreciate it so much. And I know our listening audience does too. So I want to thank you from myself, and I want to thank you from everybody that's viewing this and will be listening to this later. So thank you so very, very much. You're much appreciated.
Thank you for giving me the honor to serve and the pleasure to serve.
That's wonderful. And, if people would like to interact with you and ask you a question and stuff like that, do you have a few more minutes? Can I open that to people? I'll take it off the broadcast so that, we'll be respectful of the time. But can I invite people in to talk to you if they'd like to?
100%.
Okay, great, super. So I'm going to end the broadcast now, and I will open up the link so that people can come in and join if they want. So please hang on like that.
Yeah.